Welcome to Brand Builders TV. Deep dive topics, tools and resources brought to you by global thought leaders from within the Brand Builders Club. This show gives you access to the strategies that you can use to move forward with ease and flow in every area of your life and business. In today's show, Trish is going to share the repeatable formula how to tell stories that sell. As you know, facts tell and stories sell, but being able to tell a story that is compelling, that keeps attention, and that ultimately influences people to buy is critical to success. So, learn it, model it, and get shit done. Let's go.
Hello and welcome to Brand Builders TV. It's Trish Carr, and I'm here for part 2 of how to turn your mouth into money. And it's all about being able to tell stories. You know, at Women's Prosperity Network, one of the things we do is we work on our influential communication skills, because really that is the number one thing that's going to make a difference for you in life and in business. You know, one of the richest people in the world, the 6th wealthiest person in the world, says that the best, fastest, easiest way to increase your net worth by 50% or more is to get good at influential speaking skills, influential communication skills. And that's not just speaking, but in writing too. So everything I'm going to share with you is good for in writing, in person, one-on-one, from the stage. Now, let me tell you, from the stage in particularly, it is so important that you are able to articulate your message in a compelling way that gets people to say, yes, I want to know more. And case in point, one of my clients, Gladys, who is a beautiful woman who was at one time a widow, and she found it really challenging to open up her heart again after losing her husband at a very young age. She was in her 30s. And certainly she had suitors, yet it was not an easy thing to let someone else in after suffering that loss. Well, happily she did, and she's now happily married. And one of the things that she was called to do after her own experience was to support other women and men in finding the person of their dreams, the person that they would have their soulmate and live their life with. So Gladys and her sister, her twin sister no less, decided they were going to start a business that would impact people's lives in this way. And their business is called Heart's Desire International. And it's been around now for about 6 or 7 years. And they're having a lot of success in showing women and men how to have the love of their life, whether they're looking for that person or whether they wake up next to that person who was once the love of their life every day, and how to turn that back and turn that spark on. Because see, Gladys's sister has the other side of the story. Gladys was married, lost her husband, and then had a hard time opening her heart. Her sister Michelle was looking for the right person and could never find that right person. And now that she has, she too wanted to join Gladys in doing this work. So when I first started working with Gladys, Gladys was the mouth of Heart's Desire International. And she came to a 2-day workshop that we do at Women's Prosperity Network called The Business of Speaking. And I know many of you have attended that program. And what it does is it shows you how to have compelling conversations from the stage or on live video, so that people say, yes, I have to work with you. I see the value of what it is you're offering. How do I get started? Well, when Gladys first came to the program just a couple of years ago, she had just returned from flying on her own dime from the East Coast of the US to the West Coast of the US, which cost her, as we say, a pretty penny. She stayed at a hotel, paid for that, paid for meals, went to a conference that she was invited to speak at. And on the stage, she was invited to share something that the audience could do for next steps. So Gladys did. She shared a program that they could join and be a part of. And that was supposed to, of course, pay her expenses, plus bring additional revenue into her business, plus enable her to make a big difference for these women in the audience. It was about 250 women from what I heard. So she goes, she puts her speech together, she works on it. This is not the first time she's done this type of a speech. And yet there she is standing on the stage. When she gets off the stage, as she walks to the back to meet people to enroll in her program, people are going, Gladys, what a great presentation. Thank you, Gladys. I learned so much. It was really awesome, patting her on the back, and she's feeling really good. Well, she gets to the back. No one purchased. Not a one person opened their wallet or their purse. So, of course, she felt devastated. And this wasn't the first time this was happening to her. It seems that she would get a few people, but she never really got any momentum. She was great on the stage. People loved her presence. Yet, whatever it was she was saying was not converting to clients. So she came to the workshop and we worked together. And at the workshop, we not only came up with a brand new program for Gladys and Michelle to share through Heart's Desire International, we really worked on the formula that she was using to share that information. We talked about how she could position what she had to offer in a way that made it compelling for people. I showed her many different things that she could tweak and make a little bit different. Look, she already had the goods. She was good and comfortable on the stage. But what she was saying and how she was saying it was not getting through. So in the workshop, she stood in the front of the room and she practiced simply just closing, simply making the invitation. And in the workshop, the women in the workshop were so compelled simply by her close that she sold $1,000 of that program in the workshop. In the next 30 days, with the communication skills that she acquired, she sold another $10,000 of that program. And I'm so happy to say that since that time, that program and the way she invites people to it has become her signature speech and her signature program. And now Heart's Desire International, as a result of that tweaking, of creating that talk, of creating that workshop, has brought in more than 350,000 US dollars in the last few years. When I talked to Gladys just last week to see how it was going, and she was telling me how great it was, she said, I have to tell you that it's not just the amount of money and the people that we've been able to make a difference for initially. She said, all of those people that came in have continued to work with us. A great percentage continue to work with us. So I dare say we've made over $500,000 on that workshop and on the way you told me how I could position myself, how I make people see the workshop. So it's all about you positioning you and your business, you and your product, you and your project, so that people are compelled to say, yes, I have to have that. And one of the ways that you do that is by sharing testimonials and stories of clients that you've worked with. You know, they say facts tell and stories sell. Facts are great. What percentage of people are impacted by this? How many people have been able to overcome this? What's the impact on people percentage-wise? Like, data is great. And it's really important that you put that into your talks. More importantly, though, it's important that you share the stories of the people that you've worked with and the success that they've had, like I just did with the Gladys and Michelle story of Heart's Desire, and your own story. Now, the key here is your own story is compelling, I'm sure, why you do what you do, perhaps the impetus for you doing what you do today. Maybe you have we say, a woe to wow story, something that happened to you. And while your story can be compelling, remember, it's not the only story that you want to share. You've got to share stories of success of the people that you've worked with. So I have a quick 3-step formula that I use for stories. And I urge you to take some notes on this. I'm gonna make sure I get it all to you, and I want to make sure that I give you every single step of it. So get your pen ready or put your fingers on your keyboard, because here we go. The first thing is you've got to connect your story with your content. The reason you're telling the story has got to go to the point that you are making. One of the great speakers, Les Brown, he always says, every story has a point, and every point has a story. So if you're going to make a point, have a story. Now, if you don't have a story, that's okay, but have an example of, for instance, something that can bring it to life. Simply lecturing people never connects with them on an emotional level, and it never enables them to see what it is you're talking about. And we're mostly visual people. So make sure you have a story, a for instance, or an example of what it is you're talking about. And here's the thing, first step, number one, first step is to bring the person and the challenges to life. So like with the story about Gladys, I told you who she was. She was a beautiful woman. She was a widow. She had a hard time opening up her heart again. You could feel Gladys when I got into the story. And then when I shared the challenge that she had spent her own money, had high hopes that she was going to make a big difference for a lot of people at this conference, and then was able to have no one say yes, that was bringing the challenge to life. So be descriptive. Now, if you're talking about people who are dealing with a day-to-day problem, make sure you share how that day-to-day issue affects them emotionally, in terms of their actions, in terms of how they felt, and what they did or didn't do. What did the challenge cause to happen in their life? So it's not enough to say that she didn't feel confident anymore because of this challenge. What you want to do is bring it down to, she lost her confidence, which meant that when she was sitting in meetings at her work, she held back on releasing the things she was thinking that could have been the difference. But because she had no confidence anymore, she was afraid to speak her mind and afraid what other people would think. Big difference when you go into that explanation as opposed to she lost her confidence. Or when you're talking about she had no energy anymore, or he had a hard time with his vitality every day. You could simply say that, or you could go into some detail by saying every morning he would wake up and the first thing he wanted to do was go back to sleep. Getting out of bed was an effort. Even dragging the toothbrush across his teeth was more than he wanted to do every day. It was as if the spark had gone out of his life. Or perhaps it's when she came home from work, she was so depleted and had so little energy that the last thing she wanted to do was spend quality time with her children. Yet her children were clamoring for her when she came home. Mommy, mommy, so happy to see you. And all it did was make her impatient and say to them, I'll get to you later. Just give me a few minutes. The last thing she wanted to do was treat her children like that. So get descriptive about it, right? Here's another example. And I scripted this one out so that you could hear it. And I wanted to make sure I got the details in it. So it might sound something like this. I recently worked with a woman who was juggling it all. She was a mom with 3 school-aged kids. She managed her household, her husband, and her full-time business. While the business was supposed to be only 8 hours a day, most weeks she was putting in 50 to 60 hours, working on weekends and into the evenings, just so she could keep up. I'm sure many of you can relate to that, being business owners, right? Well, most nights she'd be so overwhelmed that she couldn't even make a decision between cooking peas or carrots or ordering pizza or Chinese food. Her attention span was so short, her temper was getting shorter, and she was creating long-term problems. She was snapping at the kids and her husband, falling behind rather than getting ahead in her business. And when she woke up in the morning, all she could think about was going back to bed. She was about to break. So that's being descriptive. So number one is bring the person and the challenges to life. Number two, seed your service and how you reached a result. So you're going to start with, here's the problem or the challenge or the desire that this person had. And then you are going to say, after working together in this particular way. So when, for example, in the Gladys story, I said, after she came to the 2-day Business of Speaking workshop. So right there, I told you, I have a 2-day workshop that you can attend. And by the way, it's online. So you can attend from anywhere you want to be, your home, your office, whatever. A 2-day workshop was something I seeded so that you knew that that was what we did together. I could have said, after working in our Get Her Done program, where you create your signature speech from beginning to end, one small piece at a time, building on each small piece, so that at the end of just a few short weeks, you have your signature speech done, ready, and compelling, so people say yes to you. That's seeding. So you want to seed how you made the difference. So for example, in the case I just shared with you about the woman who was juggling it all, you could say, she realized that something had to give and she finally called me. She committed to making a change and started with something that could get her quick results and give her long-term success. It's our momentum program, and we call it that because that's what you get. It's a combination of group mentoring and training where you get individual support, answers, and ideas for your challenges, as well as accountability to keep you in action, along with a clear structure with repeatable actions that you get where you want to go. That's the seed. And then I would say, the first thing we did was to give her strategies and some simple tools that could bring her back to peace and calm in any moment. In less than a week, she not only felt better, she got more done in that week than she had done the whole month before. Okay, so the seed is, she came to me and she came to a realization that she had to do something about it. She came to me, she called me, and this was what I gave her. The particular program, the particular online something, the particular product, whatever it is that you offer people, that you're going to offer them in your talk, you talk about that just a little bit. And then you say that they got results, what kind of results they got. Now notice I didn't tell you what strategies I told her to do. I didn't tell you what her plan of action was. I didn't tell you how we got to her plan of action. All I told you was that I gave her strategies and some simple tools that could bring her back to peace and calm in any moment. And within a week, she was able to snap back. So you don't want to give the how you did it, because if you do that, people are going to go, oh, okay, I can do that by myself. That's great. Thanks for telling me. No, the how is what they're going to give you money for, because you're opening your head, you're opening your product, you're giving them the thing they need. That's not something you want to give away, right? Because you're making a disservice. It's a disservice when you tell people, go ahead and try this, and they do it without you, because it can't work without you. There's so much more to what you do than simply saying, go and make a roadmap. Okay, I'll go do that. Okay, so the first thing again is bring the person and the challenges they were experiencing to life. The second step is to seed your service and how you reach the result in a simple way, not with a lot of detail. I even ask you to hold back on telling them a methodology you used. I wouldn't say we did some Reiki sessions, or I gave them a combination of massage and nutrition. They're going to go, okay, I'll get some massage and I'll go hire a nutritionist. You want to just say, I gave them some simple tools and strategies, or we worked together for a brief period of time. And in that time, she got a strategy that was able to give her such a result. Okay. The third thing you want to do is then articulate and richly describe the desired outcome fulfilled. So in the Gladys situation, I told you that not only is Gladys now have a signature speech that she's been using, She also has a program that she sold almost $500,000 as a result of, and she's been able to help hundreds of people with her services. So that's describing what happened. So in the case of the woman who's juggling it all and who has a business and 3 children and a husband, and you gave her some strategies and tools, you could say something like, as a result of committing to make the changes and having structure, because that's what she needed, committing to make the changes and structure, she's significantly less stressed and is able to easily make those decisions that caused paralysis before. She figured out how to work less hours and bring in more clients and more money, doubling her revenue while reducing her hours. Because she's working smarter, not harder. Her husband, her kids have told her over and over how much they like the new version that she's become. And she's found her passion and purpose again for her business, for her family, and for herself. So this 3-step process in sharing a story, specifically a client story, because everyone wants to know, who have you worked with? Are they like me? Do they experience the same things I do? Were they able to reach the desire that I have? That's what people want to hear. So the 3-step process is bring the person or challenge to life. Seed your services and how you reached the result. And thirdly, articulate and describe their outcome fulfilled. Now, some of you, again, have your own story to tell. You can still follow that same format. Because even with your own story, you're going to richly describe the situation that caused you to take action. You're going to share a few things about what it is you did to make it happen so that now you have step 3, the thing that I wanted in the first place, the result I was looking for. So I urge you to sprinkle stories into your talks. Share stories when you're having one-on-one conversations with people so that they can see what's available to them. Simply lecturing them or just sharing data is not as compelling as hearing things they can relate to and resonate with, where they can say, yeah, that's me. I have that same thing too. I'm so glad he told me that. It's all about connecting with people on an emotional level. And emotions is what people buy from, it's what people connect with, and it's the way people connect with you. So I want to invite you to please connect with me. And here's my information. You can go to womensprosperitynetwork.com. You can email me anytime, any question to trish@womensprosperitynetwork.com. And one last thing, I'm really big on formulas. Notice I gave you 3 steps to telling a story. Last time we were together, I shared the 5 steps to giving a quick tip on Facebook Live or Instagram or any of the socials or even on a video. I like 5 steps, 3 steps, 2 steps. So what I want to share with you now, and I want to invite you to go and get, is what we call the Speaker Profitizer formula. And this is the way that you can formulate your talks and your presentations so that you hit it out of the park every time. So go to SpeakingForFunAndProfit.com and get your copy of the Profitizer formula so that you can always be able to follow the formula and do it right every time. And of course, I urge you to reach out to me. I look forward to hearing from you. I hope that you found this a good use of your time and that this has urged you and maybe ignited a little fire under you to add more stories to your talks and your presentations. Trish Carr from Women's Prosperity Network. It's my pleasure to be here with you. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic Brand Builders Day.
I hope that you've enjoyed the show today as much as we've enjoyed making it for you. If you've got anything out of this episode, please do tell someone else how they can subscribe to the Brand Builders TV channel at youtube.com/brandbuilderstv. Why not join us at our next Brand Builders Thinkubator, a global mastermind that we run every week to take away the loneliness of being in business on your own. For more information and to book your place, visit light.brandbuilders.club/thinkubator. That's light.brandbuilders.club/thinkubator. Until next time, be the ripple that you wish to see in the world, and we'll see you soon.